Congressman, I want to get right into it. Do you see this passing the Senate?
Well, the good news is you've got a few senators that have actually that are sane on the Democratic side. You've got Fetterman, who said that he's going to support this, and he actually doesn't understand why any Democrat would vote against this. You have Ruben Gallego, the new Democrat senator from Arizona, who is not only said he's going to support it, but that he's going to co-sponsor it. So I think that if the Democratic Party knows what is good for them and their future, and they don't want to continue to lose voters, they're gonna pass this bill. It's the most common sense thing in the world. If somebody has committed a crime, look, we throw U.S. citizens in jail. We detain U.S. citizens for these very crimes. You're telling me that because somebody's here illegally that we're not going to detain them for the very same thing? It's absurd, and I think the American people know that it's absurd.
It's a common sense bill, common sense legislation, and the fact that it passed, even with some Democrat support, unfortunately, there wasn't enough, but I think about 40 Democrats, if you will, may have crossed the aisle to support it. It seems to set momentum there in the U.S. House. So let's shift gears and see if that momentum actually carries over into the debate on how many budget bills it's going to take to get President-elect Trump's agenda passed. House Speaker Mike Johnson reportedly pushing to get it all done in one bill. Other Republicans don't want to split it up and get border security done in one bill and then spending later. Where do you stand on this, and what can you tell us about the negotiations happening in the House specifically?
Yeah, personally, I'm kind of agnostic. I really don't care how many bills it takes. I just want it done quickly, and I want us to do all of the things that Trump campaigned on. I don't want to leave anything off the table. I think that so that includes, we need to secure the border. We need to unleash America's energy. We need to make sure that we reinstitute the Trump tax cuts. We need to add more tax cuts, including no taxes on tip, no tax or less taxes on Social Security benefits, maybe no taxes on overtime pay. We need to add more tax cuts. We need to cut spending. That's the my number one priority, is that we as a Republican Party do what we said that we always campaign on, which is that we're going to fix the deficit and the debt problems, and we're going to cut spending. That has to be an integral part of it. That's why Trump is bringing forward the DOGE effort, so that we can actually reduce our deficits. And so those need to be in the bill. And I think that it's pretty simple. We need to put those all in one, either one big, beautiful bill or in two. I don't care, but we need to get it done.
Yeah, Congressman, if I can just follow up really quickly, I think there's lots of excitement and anticipation among the American people about the funding, about the substance of the funding, forget the process. But ultimately, the question I think still arises, well, when are we going to finally get back on track and vote on individual appropriation bills? It seems like we've kind of gotten away from that conversation. That conversation is in the background, but unfortunately, it's been epidemic for years that we are kicking the funding can down the road continuously, and that we're not getting back to really being efficient in the way we fund our government.
Yeah, Terrence, amen. You are preaching to the choir. I 100% agree with you, and I am extremely frustrated with Congress. I'm extremely frustrated with my colleagues. Look, we fail the American people. We've been failing the American people for like 27 years. We've been passing continuing resolutions and then omnibus bills. We have got to get a hold of our fiscal spending when it comes to reconciliation, so that people understand the reconciliation process is not about discretionary spending. It's about mandatory spending, okay? That's not including Social Security. So that would be Medicaid and other mandatory spending programs. When it comes to the discretionary spending, that is done through the budget process, as you're referring to, and it's going to basically likely be another continuing resolution that gets us a few months down the road, or maybe all the way to the end of the year, which would be very unfortunate. So I hope that we are able to change this pattern, and that that the promises that Mike Johnson made when he became Speaker, that we're going to actually pass the appropriation bills, that we actually fulfill that promise.
All right, Congressman, let's shift gears real quickly. One of your colleagues, Indiana Congressman Jim Banks, says that Mike Johnson remained as Speaker because President-elect Trump weighed in on this. Take a listen.
I don't think Mike Johnson would be Speaker of the House this morning if Donald Trump wouldn't have weighed in last week, spent political capital to help him get elected on one vote. And to me, that's a positive sign that House Republicans are unified behind Donald Trump, the Trump agenda. They're hearing from our supporters at home. We have to get this done, secure the border, make our military focused on winning and fighting wars and strong again, make the tax cuts on working families permanent.
What is the mood inside the GOP conference right now on this issue?
Yeah, I think that I totally agree with the now Senator Banks. I think that Trump is now the new sheriff, and that's a great thing. That's look, and I agree. If it weren't for Trump, Mike Johnson probably would not be Speaker. But at the end of the day, because Trump is the one calling the shots, I feel a lot more comfortable. I feel like the cavalry has arrived, and we desperately needed it because Congress is pathetic. We are pathetic at achieving what we promised in our campaigns. But I think that Donald Trump means what he says, and I think that he's going to give us in this conference the backbone that we need to do the things that we need to deliver on for the American people.
Now you have Trump coming back into office, Congressman, and then you also have Speaker Mike Johnson being reelected. He's faced a tough year, as we've all seen, and a lot of differing opinions on this. What does he need to do in this upcoming year to achieve the Trump agenda? And look, as Speaker of the House, it's a tough position. You do have to negotiate. You have to ensure that you get enough support for what you want to do. How can he balance everything and ultimately win back a lot of MAGA patriots who weren't necessarily happy about seeing him be reelected?
Yeah, I think managing expectations and being good at communicating is probably going to be the key components of having effective leadership. So making sure that you have engagement from members on all of the bills that are going forward, and making sure that there's good communication between the Trump administration and members, I think is going to be a key factor. I think the more that we, as the different conferences, meet directly with Trump, I think that is an element that is going to produce success. I think as well, the more that we meet directly with each other, so the members like myself who are on the right wing of the conference, the Freedom Caucus wing, and then members who are on the more moderate wing of the conference, the more that we can directly meet with each other, the more that we can, I think we can be successful. Because you tend to find out things that you can agree upon, and sometimes you're surprised at what the other side will agree to.
To piggyback on your idea that meeting with President Trump directly is going to be beneficial to all, the president-elect is going to be meeting with Senate leadership today. As far as you know, are there plans to meet with House leadership or House members, House Republican members, either today or at some point in time this week? And what would you like the tone of those meetings to be if and when they happen?
Yeah, I am going to be meeting with the president this Friday, and along with a group of members, and I want to convey to him that we want to deliver on your campaign pledges and your vision for America. We have one last opportunity. I think this is one of the last, if not the last opportunity we have to turn this ship around and save this country. And we cannot be soft on these measures. So I think we need to go big. We need to have radical spending cuts in order to save and pull this ship up. And so I think that I'm all in for Trump's agenda, and I don't think we need to go in halfway. I think we need to go all in.
Go ahead, Terrence. Go ahead.
If I can just follow up real quickly, because I think this is interesting. So you'll be meeting with President Trump Friday. You mentioned spending cuts. That's the one issue that I kind of heard. What might your other priorities be? Give me 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think that we should not take off the table one of the items that Trump campaigned on, which is education reform. Look, we have got a decaying moral culture in the United States. It's tragic to see how society has decayed. And I think that one of the reasons is because we have let the sadly, the public school system that even I was raised, went through, is not the same public school system today. And so we have got to turn things around in our public education systems. I think giving parents choice was part of the campaign promises, and I think it's something we cannot lose sight of. I also think that we have a rare opportunity to fix Obamacare. The Obamacare subsidies are going away. And while that may not be the top item and thing that people talk about, we need to create some very creative solutions that give people an off-ramp from the Obamacare exchanges into something that's more market-based, something that is more consumer-directed.
Interesting. All right. Congressman Burlison, we appreciate the time. It's insightful. Like, you opened the door and I want to go in it, but we don't have the time. I've got 5 more questions now based on all that, but we appreciate your time as always.
Call me anytime, Terrence.
All right. I'm calling you. I'm going to have my people call your people and we'll set up a meeting. Appreciate you, Congressman. Have a good one.